What is up, my dudes and dudettes, and welcome back. Now, if you remember the last video, I showed you 4 creations that are currently on ice, meaning they are somewhat finished, in some stage of getting done. But I'm just not working on them right now. So I thought to myself, let's start a new project. Why not? Right. But yeah, I had some vacation time, and it's always a good time to start a new project and you know uh, pull through with it. Just from start to finish, 40 hours of gameplay. Yeah, just don't interrupt the process. If I interrupt the process, there's a good chance that I forget what I done in the meantime. So I got this creation that is just, it's all connections, it's all logic, number logic, counters, switches and stuff. And I have to grind and find out what is what goes where, what needs improvement, what needs fixing. It's a tedious process, really. So for me, it's always a good idea to just do a project from start to finish. I know all the systems, I know what does what, and yeah, I can finish it. So that's what we're gonna do today. As you can guess by the title, I finally got to build another 737, and that's what I'm gonna show you today. So let's go. So before we start, I decided I want to show you an old creation that I did first, because really the first big project I did was another Boeing 737. It was the 800 version, but basically the airframe is the same. It's longer, shorter over the years and over the versions, but basically it's kind of the same airplane. That just improved the engines. It's all tweaking, but you know a Boeing 737 when you see it from the 100 to the, what's the newest one, the 900 Max or something. Um, they're all the same shape. So I'm gonna show you this first. 737-800 is all vanilla, and unfortunately I tested it out yesterday. Uh, it doesn't fly. It doesn't fly anymore, or it does fly, but it doesn't fly as good as it did before, and that's because in one of the updates they did something to the thrusters, make them more or less powerful. I'm not really sure, but this plane is now pretty much imbalanced. So before we could just take off and fly and take our hands off the controls, and the plane would just fly straight ahead. And now it has a constant pitch up. There's no possibility to trim this plane, so you constantly have to pitch down. You can pitch up, it pitches up very aggressively, and pitch down is very, very slow, so it's not a good flying experience. Uh, yeah, but we're not gonna fly this plane today anyway. I just want you to take a look at the basic shape. Yeah, I think it still holds up. It still looks quite good. But of course, with all the modded parts, you only have these wedges, 45-degree wedges. It's all made of wood, so you can see the wood texture, which, as it might surprise you, but which is not like it is in real life. So planes are not made out of wood anymore. So we can. Oh, let's leave it here and load in the new one. So let's see, 4737. This is also another 737 that I built on the basis of this. So this is the same shape. I just shortened the fuselage a little bit, gave it a different paint job and the winglets. No, the other one also had winglets. So I don't have to show you this. I will show you this one. And yeah, let's leave it on the lift for now, because it's very laggy. Well, in fact, let's put it next to the other plane. Oh no. Oh no. I mean, this creation is laggy, but it's normally not that laggy. Yeah, let's leave it on the lift. I wanted to do a side-by-side comparison, but putting these two side by side, it's not gonna work, as you saw. So, um, yeah, well, on the lift, you see there's a lot of bearings and also the wings. The wings are on bearings to give them the proper angle upwards and backwards, or backward sweep. I usually do this. I do this nowadays. I didn't do this before, but it just looks so much better. And also I need this for the control surfaces, because of course the control surfaces here, they are perpendicular or parallel, however you want to view it, but they're parallel to the trailing edge of the wing, and we could shape the wing, like we do at the leading edge. Just used polygon pieces to go outside, but you cannot have this then. You cannot have the ailerons in the same line as the trailing edge, so you would have a triangle, basically, a triangle as the aileron. That's just ugly. I cannot do that. So I'd rather have a little bit of lag and just a plane that looks nice. So yeah, let me just show you how it works. And for the first part, we're just gonna leave this on the lift. Yeah, we're gonna leave this on the lift. Or even better, let's delete this. We don't need it anymore. So delete this. And you see it's still laggy. It's maybe because I'm recording it. It wasn't that laggy before, I think. But whatever, let's put it back on the lift for now. This way. Because for the first part we don't need any moving parts. We're gonna check out the cockpit first. So, to get into this plane, we don't have working doors. First of all, let me start here. We don't have working doors, unfortunately. I wanted to do working doors, of course, as I basically do with all my creations. I want to have as many working parts as possible. But as I mentioned, the wing is already on two different sets of bearings. So there's a bearing that sweeps it back and a bearing that sweeps upwards, and on these two bearings there are the flaps, and the flaps are actually on pistons and bearings. So we have that on this wing that is on bearings, and also these bearings. So there's 3 layers of bearings already. That makes it laggy. I was fully expecting that, and I knew at some point I had to compromise. So no working doors for this plane. Also, if you know the 737-200, it has beautiful thrust reversers. This is actually split in 2, so a top part and a bottom part, and these shells, they just open up and clamp together in the back. It looks awesome. And also this is not horizontal, but it's which direction? It's slanted this way, and that looks cooler than the horizontal one. So I had this on a bearing that rotates it a few degrees, 30 degrees or 20 or something, and I had these shells on bearings opening up, but no way, there was no way. The frames, they were getting unbearable. I mean, for some people right now, this is still unbearable. Not now, but when the creation is off the lift. But I needed those wings, and I needed this beautiful and complicated flap system. You will see it. There's no way. There was no way around it, and yeah, I might redo this plane and do a version that is simplified, that doesn't look as good but performs better. So I might do that. But for now we have this one. We have the full beauty and the bad performance. So To get in, I have hidden and marked a seat here, so you can just mount the seat and dismount the seat, and then we are inside. Full interior, of course. Let's do that first before we go to the cockpit. So we have a microwave, a kind of, it's called pantry. Well, it's a kitchen basically. So we got those shelves. Unfortunately, these are plate parts, and these occupy this space. So I cannot place anything here. But still, you know, there's storage space. There's a microwave to heat up the food, or an oven to heat up the food, whatever you prefer. We got a few cupboards. These, I guess, are cans, soda cans with Coke and whatever is yellow. Right, the cockpit, we'll have a look in a moment. Then we can turn on the lights, the interior lights. We don't need that, it's daytime now. And yeah, as I said, full interior. These seats are not usable. These are only too wide, so you would sit either on this side or on that side. No, we don't. You don't need seats if you don't have any passengers, really. So, righty. Got, yeah, so these lights here. We got also the markers on the ground to the emergency exits. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. I try to do it as complete as possible without getting too complicated again, because this plane is complicated enough in itself. So it's just the same old row of seats over and over again. We get the toilet, which is also just, you know, it's plate parts. You cannot go in there. You wouldn't be able to fit a scrap mechanic toilet in there anyway. So this is just make believe. It's pretend. It's imagination. Yeah, there's a toilet in there. Trust me. There we got some more storage space. I guess you can get your drinks here. Or the flight attendants get the drinks here rather, and go down the rows. With that trolley, more rows. It's a one-class configuration. I'm happy with that plane, and I'm happy with how it turned out. So, yeah, there's nothing wrong with just using this shape and doing something with it. So I might get rid of the old turbojet engines, slap some new ones in there to make the 3, 4, 500 series modern engines. I might get rid of a few of the economy classes. That's the word, economy class seats, and slap a few first class or business class seats in there. Who knows? There's also something called the Boeing Business Jet, BBJ, which is a 737, but it's basically a private jet. So you got a lounge, you get sofas and stuff. So we might do an interior like that too, because having a private jet in this size, it's just awesome. I would take it. I wouldn't fly it though. It's bad for the environment. So, but yeah, just live in there. So here would be the exits in the back. So that's also just imagine there being doors, another toilet, and another microwave, some more drinks. And did you know that if you stack 2 toilet rolls, it will become a paper towel roll? So there is that. Also, if I'm already here, to get out of the plane, we have this exit here. It's also, if we got no doors, we have to compromise, we have to improvise. This is a seat, so we can get on and off, and we're outside. Same in the front. If we go in again, we got this seat here in the cockpit, so you also can just mount and dismount, and then you are outside of the aircraft. Sometimes the captain's seat also kicks you outside of the aircraft if you dismount. So, but if not, you get stuck in this section and you cannot get out, but you can go to this seat and exit the plane this way. Good, so this is the cockpit. I slapped a ton of controllers, surface controllers there. It's just for the looks. This is where the fuses are in the plane. I think it's just on one side. On the other side, there's the jump seat. Um, but whatever. We cannot have the 100% accuracy, so that's fine. That's fine. It looks cool in my opinion. And then we got the cockpit. It's all very cramped. Of course, it's airliner cockpits are tight. So there's the thrust level. Let's get on the seat first. This is also a little bit tricky because these detail parts they are narrow, but they also have the collision here, I think. So you cannot get in the seat. You have to move around a little bit, and there it is. It's this gray block. That's the seat. So you can get in there. And we got all the necessary indicators here. And I think all of the indications should work also on the lift because there's no moving part. It's all just logic. So I think I can show you everything here. Indication-wise, of course, if we use the flaps, the indication will show it, but the flaps will not drop. But we're inside anyway, so I show you the moving parts once we are outside. Righty, so let's go. Let's start with the 0 button, which is the master switch that turns everything on and also turns everything off, of course. That way, if you get stuck anywhere, if you need the engines to shut down, if you need systems to shut down, just turn off the master switch, and it's all going to be reset. Basically, all the counters that are used for the different systems, thrust and flaps and stuff. All these counters get reset to 0. Also, I got a seat detection, player detection. It's in the math block of the mod pack. You can cycle through the modes, and there's one mode that checks if a seat is occupied. So it will give a signal if a player is in the seat, and it will give no signal if the player is out of the seat. So when we dismount of the seat, when there's no signal anymore, this will also reset all the counters. So if in the air, for whatever reason, in the air you get out of the seat, you get kicked out of the seat, this plane will reset and just fall out of the sky and not fly indefinitely or get stuck against the wall and you can't get it anymore. So that's a small safety measure that I usually do. If you get out of the seat, the airplane just turns off and sits there waiting for you. Good. So let's start with the 0 button. And if you didn't know, if you use the 0 button, if you use the 0 key on your keyboard, you have to use the number pad, so the numbers on the right side of the keyboard. The top row of the keyboard where the other numbers are, the 0 key does not work in Scrap Mechanic. So the 0 key, as I said, is the master switch. So let's turn this on. This is indicated by this yellow light here. And now we can use, I hope, all the controls. So let's continue in sequence. We got the buttons 1 and 2. 1 and 2 is the thrust, and this is the indication of the thrust from 0 to 100%. 1 increases the thrust, and 2 decreases the thrust. One side note, I usually, for the thrust systems in every plane I build, I usually build a limited counter that goes from 0 to 100, no matter how big the plane and how much power we need. From 0 to 100, because that's also the range on this gauge, and then multiply this value 0 to 100 with whatever factor we need to have a good range of power for the type of plane we're building. Additionally, if we go from 0 to 100, it's 1% per tick. So this takes 2.5 seconds to go the full way. And I think that's a good middle ground between, getting to the power setting you want fast enough. So if you need full power, it just takes 2.5 seconds. Okay, that's maybe a bit long for some people and some purposes. You know, if you need the power fast. But we also need the middle ground between this and and being able to fine tune. And 1% per tick is pretty good, I think. You don't need to plus minus 1% when you're playing with the power. But then again, you cannot with these buttons. It's pretty much impossible to do just a 1 tick push. So if we would have, let's say, 2% or 4% per tick increase in this system, you would have 12% increase, decrease with every push of the button. So you want the throttle to be finer, and you want to be able to set exactly the power level you want. So yeah, 0 to 100, 2.5 seconds. That's at least my middle ground that I take. Now, button 3 does not have an indication. Button 3 is the wheel brakes. So for taxiing on the ground, set your power level to about 10-15%, and control your speed using the wheel brakes. These are at such a power level that they will not block the wheels. They will not block the wheels when you push it, but just apply some braking force. We will test it out once we get to the flight test. Right. So we got the buttons 4 and 5 done, and what is 4 and 5? That would be nice to know. 4 and 5 is the trim, right? We can trim this plane, which is also necessary because for the different speeds, the plane will have a nose up or nose down tendency, and if we got a nose up or nose down tendency, W and S, so up down on your WASD, becomes very unresponsive in one direction. So if the plane has a nose up tendency, pitching down is very difficult, and vice versa. So we always have to trim out the plane for the stage of flight we're in, so that without the controlled inputs, the plane just remains level. And we do that with the trim indication. And the trim indication is here because in the real plane, the trim is also in this area where the thrust control is, and it looks like this. 4 is trim up, so this means trim up, and this means trim down. And I think it's from minus 10% degrees. Sorry, it's minus 10 degrees to plus 15 or 20. I don't know. But we don't need any more. That's a good range for this plane. Right. So we got this. We got 6 and 7, which is the flaps. Indication for the flaps is here. So on the very right, I will look in this direction so you can see it better. But it's the right gauge that is horizontal for now. 7 will lower the flaps, and 6 will raise the flaps. And we got 3 stages of flaps. 4 stages if you count the 0 degree stage. So now we got 0 degrees of flaps. First stage is 5 degrees of flaps. Second stage is 15 degrees of flaps, and the final stage is 30 degrees of flaps. So we got that. 6 gets the flaps up. Button 8 is the gear. This is the gear indication, these 2 logic gates. Green, of course, means the gear is down and safe to land. And red means the gear is up. Cool. Then we got the switch number 9, which is the landing lights, and I can turn it on now and then get outside. Yeah, because when you're on the lift, you cannot clip outside of the plane with your. Oh, that's nice. With your camera, so I can show you this on the outside. I will activate this now. It lights up the cockpit a little bit too, which is nice. And yeah, so we cycle through all the buttons, and there's nothing more to show you here. So let's get outside. And as you see, we just dismounted right to the outside. We don't even need that hidden seat here. Also like how the cockpit windows look. Very sleek plane, very nice. So we got the landing lights on the wings, on the belly, and well, technically, I think this is a taxi light, so this is not on when the landing lights are on, but when you're on the ground and taxiing. But whatever, you're gonna taxi with this plane too, so there's nothing wrong with having a taxi light. Also, I would have loved to put this nose gear on a bearing, that we can steer with the nose gear, or at least make it look like we're steering with the nose gear. But this cannot turn. It's just straight, and when we turn on the ground, this just slides above. This just slides over the ground. It doesn't matter. When we're looking from the outside, we don't see it. And yeah, what can we do, man? We can only have that many bearings. And once again, the lag is bad enough right now. So yeah, don't care. Good. Is there anything else on the outside that I need to show you right now? I don't think so. Right. So let's get this baby off the lift and enjoy the lag. Well, yeah, it's just the way it is. Oh right, let me show you the lighting system, the rest of the lighting system. So as with all the other planes, we got the wingtip lights, the red light on the left side, and the green light on the right side. On the back of the wing there is just strobe light that will flash a few times, turn off, flash a few times again. Then we have the beacon light on the belly. I hope you see it. It's the red light here that's blinking. And also we have the same light on the top of the fuselage. You can see it now, but we can see it once we're in the seat then. Additionally, we got one steady white light on the back, and that's all the lighting we have in this plane. So to get in the back seat, we have to find the gray block and use it, and we are in the seat. So this is my preferred method of flying. The cockpit looks very nice in my opinion, but it's just in scrap mechanic I don't like flying from the cockpit, because planes usually have a slight nose up tendency. You have to have the nose up slightly to keep your altitude, to keep your level, and then it's very difficult to see what's below you. And this map isn't big, and there's a fence, and there's an invisible wall. So if you're not paying very close attention, you will run into a wall, especially in cockpit view, because it's very easy to lose your orientation in the cockpit view. That's why I prefer the outside view. You got basically unobstructed view to what's below you, and you always know where you are. Right. So let's run through the buttons again. 0 turns off the master. It's on a exclusive OR gate, of course, and that's why now in this seat this button is activated. As you see, the very right button on the right side is activated, but the master is off technically. That's because it's on an X OR gate. So if we would have turned off the switch in the cockpit, it would be the other way around. Doesn't matter. Now this plane is off. And you see the lights are also coupled to the switch, so we can have an indication in which state it is in. In the cockpit we have the yellow light. In the outside view we can just check if the lights, if the strobe, if the beacons are on. And this means the master is on and the airplane is ready to fly. Or at least ready to move. Cool, so let's run through the buttons again. 1 and 2, again, is the thrust control, and this is indicated by this little gauge here. It's a little hard to see in this view, and you will have to zoom in to really see it. But I didn't figure out any other way to give you a nice thrust indication without destroying the looks of this plane. Yeah, it's okay. Mostly you will fly with, I'd say 70 to 80% power in the cruise. You get full power on takeoff, 70 to 80%. You set that power level and you basically leave it there and fly around. So you don't need to constantly check this gauge, and therefore I guess it's okay to have it like this. Right. Yeah, let's go to button 3. I can show you the wheel brakes now. So let's have follow camera on for this one, and turn around a little bit, and let's just start to taxi. A few percent of thrust. Start to taxi, and if we're moving too fast, we can just apply the brakes. And this will slowly decelerate the plane. It's not too fast on the landing, so if you land this plane and you apply the brakes, we have a very short landing run. That's fine. That's okay. The braking power in this it's good, I think. So let's turn the engines off again. Right. Now for the trim. The trim, of course, is on the elevator here. So these are the control surfaces, W and S, and for the trim the whole thing moves. You see the side better in the light. So 4 will trim up, and 5 will trim down. Cool, so let's leave it just a little bit trimmed up for the takeoff. About 5 degrees is good enough. Then you can also see on the tail the rudder, which we cannot control, which is controlled automatically, which is also common procedure for my planes, at least for the last few planes I did. This will keep the plane straight, also in the turns. Works very nicely. In the last planes I built a custom system for this out of the math blocks of the mod pack. This time I actually used the PID block, and I still don't really know how to program or use the PID block, because you have to have a P, an I, and a D value going into this, and this is, I think, proportional derivative. Am I saying this right? Yeah, derivative, and I is integral. I cannot English today, I'm sorry. Yeah, but you have to find out the proper values for this, and yeah, maybe I'll read into it one day and find out what it actually means. But the values I'm using work, so yeah, that's fine for me. That's good enough for me. Right. Let's see the flap system. Yeah, you can see it from here. So again, 6 and 7 are the flaps buttons. So I press 7 to lower the flaps. First stage 5 degrees, and all of the flaps are on pistons and on bearings, and that's basically what happens in real life. In the first stage of flaps, it doesn't go down too much. It's 5 degrees, but it it gets pushed out a bit. It doesn't do much in scrap mechanic. In real life, it just makes it increases the surface area of the wing, and therefore it produces just a little bit more drag, but more lift also, so you can go slower. Second stage of flaps, we'll push it out a bit more and lower it to 15 degrees, which is a good setting for the approach. You can go slow, but not too slow, close to the stalling speed like you do on the final approach. And the final stage is 30 degrees, which produces a lot of drag. So basically you can have your power settings again. Your power setting of 70 to 80% thrust in flight, which will give you a very fast cruising speed, for which this map is too small. I'm telling you now, this map is too small for this plane, as it is for basically all my other passenger planes that I did, because they're too fast. Right now I'm looking into using the survival map for these creations. There's a possibility to do that, and I will make a video about this. But there's still a few problems with that, so I'm not ready yet to really show you this. But I did a test flight with this plane on this map, and it was beautiful to not have to turn constantly. I'm telling you, it was just a nice experience. Good. Also, you have a lot of drag and a high power setting on the approach. That's where I left off. High drag and a high power setting. This is also how it is in real life. In real life, you have 30 degrees of flaps and also 40 degrees of flaps, which is too much for us in scrap mechanic. And basically, in the real Boeing 737, the last stage of flaps from 30 to 40 degrees does not give you a big gain in lift, but it increases the drag, and this leads to you having a high power setting on the approach. And if you have to go around, because jet engines, they take their time to reach the power level you set. If you go full power in the cockpit, it takes a few seconds for the engines to give you that power level. And if you already have a high power level on the approach, you can just raise the flaps again to 30 or 20 degrees, and yeah, go the last 10, 20%, 30% of power you need for the go around, way quicker than if you have a low power setting on the approach. So that's just on the side for you, a little nerdy, geeky knowledge, aviation knowledge for you there. Good. Let's raise the flaps again. Oh well, let's leave 5 degrees of flaps for takeoff. Let's prepare this plane for takeoff right away. 8 is the gear. We will see that in flight. And 9 is the landing lights. So yeah, you can see the wing side landing lights here. Cool. So let me taxi to the runway and show you this plane in the air. Okay, let's line up. Yeah, the lag makes it sometimes a bit difficult to control this plane properly. But well, I think it's still flyable. It flies very nice. It's very stable and stuff. So yeah, you can cope with the lag, in my opinion, because yeah, basically it flies itself. If you trim it out right, if you use it right, it's a very pleasant experience. But again, this map is going to be stressful right now, and I don't know if if I can show you a proper landing or if I end up in the trees, because we will fly one big circle on the map, I guess. Maybe two big circles. That's it. It's it's an airliner, man. It's a slow plane. If you turn in an airliner, it the turn has a radius of a few kilometers. That's just the way it is, and we don't have a few kilometers of space. I think the map is 5,600 something blocks across. So let's say 6,000, and in the scale, this plane uses 4 blocks per meter, so 25 centimeters per block. So if we got 6,000 blocks, map size 6,000 by 6,000, it means the map is 1.5 kilometers times 1.5 kilometers in size, and that is not enough for an airliner. It's slower than in real life, but it's still too fast for this map. But whatever, let's see what happens. Let's get this power up. If we get a short run, we can also hold the brakes and then power up. We'll move slowly, slowly, slowly. Release the brakes and we're off. Nice. Let's get the gear up. And already throttle down to... let's see. And for this flight I will not get the flaps up. This 5-degree setting, it will lead to... You know, we're flying slower, so I just have more time. And I don't have to turn that aggressively. Yeah, it flies. I'm not doing anything right now. So it flies very stable, very nicely. I'm happy. I'm happy with that. If only there wasn't so much lag, man. Right, let's level off here and get our right turn. Well, we can already start to prepare this plane for landing. So, let's get the second stage of flaps down. This also changes the trim. The flaps will lead to a nose down tendency in the plane. So, use button 4 to trim up a bit. And then we can just continue on our merry way. Runway is on the other side of the map now. We're on what's called the downwind leg, because in this you always land head on into the wind. So on this, when you fly in the other direction, of course, you get tailwind. And then we're gonna turn on the base leg. This is usually, well, I'm using VFR rules now. You know, if you fly little Cessnas by side, this is what it's called. On the base legs, you normally get the gear down, and on the final leg, which is the last piece of the approach when you go straight, this is normally where you get the last stage of flaps. It's very short in our case. We have to turn and then basically we have to land. So we're getting down the flaps now, 30 degrees. Plane's pitching down a bit, so I'm trimming up. Right, oh man. I'm nervous. I'm very nervous. I don't have much time. If I make a mistake, we'll end up either in the trees or the wall. So don't start the turn too early, don't start the turn too late. Power setting is still good. And throttle down just a little bit. Just deeper turn now. You can also see the rudder working very nicely. One problem is when the airplane is slow, the controls are very unresponsive, you see. I have problems pitching up now, or we're gonna end up in the tree. I know it. Well, there is that. I still want to show you a landing. It looks very cool when when we get a successful landing. So let's let me fix that, and I see you again in a minute, I guess. Right, let's do some high-speed flying, shall we? If we're in the air again, why not? Let me show you what this plane can do, speed-wise. And on a big map, this would be so nice, you know, to get from A to B. That's the dream. That's the dream. But I'm a bit confident that I'm gonna be able to get uh, to fix the problems that I'm having in on the survival map with these creations, and then we can use all the space. Maybe not with this plane, but with another plane, and then we're gonna have some scenic flying. Oh, that's gonna be cool. So, trim up, full flaps, gear down. We're all set for landing now. Let's be a bit higher this time. And that is a problem. When the plane is too slow, man, I should work on the, especially on the ailerons. In cruising speed, this is nice, but you see, it's very slow because, of course, the slower you are, the less effect these control surfaces have. I would need to program them in, depending on the speed, that the deflection of these parts is bigger the slower you go, and less. Because if you make this deflection bigger and you go fast, it just rolls too fast, man. This is also unbearable. So, oh, that's looking nice now. Wow, okay. I can live with that. But let's not use all the runway. Let's get down here. Flare! Oh, that was nice. But we're on the ground. We didn't overuse the runway. Yeah, it's just you do it. You do it on the short runways. If you go into London, you know, there's London City Airport. It has a very short runway. You just put the plane on the ground. So, yeah, folks, I did that on purpose. I had to do a hard landing, of course. That was not because the elevator was too unresponsive or something. Right. Let's apply the brakes. Let's get these flaps up. Let's reset our trim. Well, it's all done automatically if you turn off the master. Oh, let's have a look at that actually. Let's bring this plane back into landing configuration. I didn't even turn the landing lights on. That's my fault. Okay. So you see, flaps are down. Flaps are down fully, and the elevator trim is fully up. And now we're turning off the master. And it all just resets. Also if we would have power applied, this would also get reset. Right. I think that's about it for this video. It's probably gotten long enough already. Yeah, I get carried away sometimes. But yeah, I'm happy to be able to make another video. That was nice. That was nice. I'm always happy to make videos. I'm just lacking time most of the time. Also sometimes I'm lacking inspiration to build, and if I don't build, of course I can't show you anything. But there it is. I'm very happy. I'm very proud. And I'll put the download link in the description, so you can use it. I hope I got all the mods you need in the list. If not, let me know in the comments, either on the Steam page or under this video. And yeah, enjoy the lag and have fun flying this thing. Also, I heard if you tell your viewers like and subscribe, there's a better chance they'll actually do it. So please like and subscribe. Not that I make any money off this channel with 100 subscribers, but still, it's always nice to see people subscribe and comment and interact with me and the content. It's just nice. If I make a few persons happy, that's enough for me. But it's always nice to have just a little confirmation that it's not. It's not. I'm not just doing it for me here. So yeah, that's it for today. See you again, hopefully soon, and bye bye.